The AmaBhaca royal family wants Thandisizwe II Diko thoroughly investigated for alleged corruption, distancing itself from any of his business dealings. The family says all of Diko's business interests are in his personal capacity, proclaiming that neither the royal family nor the AmaBhaca people have benefited from this. Diko has been at the center of tender scandals in Gauteng after his company was allegedly awarded 125 million rand contracts to supply personal protective equipment. His family is calling for action and says the controversy surrounding the deal has tarnished its name. We're joined by Simphiwe Maula, who represents the grandchildren of the late King Madzikane. Good evening and thank you so much for your time on Newzroom Prime tonight. Firstly, perhaps give us a sense of the kind of relationship that the family has right now with the, the affected individual here, Thandisizwe.
Evening in studio and evening to all the newsroom listeners. Viewers. The relations that we have is that Thandisizwe is our brother. And our brother is our brother. I am the great grandchild of King Madzikane. Yes. The relation that we have is that we are brothers. He is just like is the brother, just like any one of us.
Now, in your statement, you've used very strong words, especially around the position of the AmaBhaca, the kingdom of AmaBhaca, and the extent to which you neither have a chief nor a king representing you today. Were you surprised when the reports started coming out of Thandisizwe referring to himself as the king of AmaBhaca?
I wouldn't say surprise, but I can state it, given it's on record, that AmaBhaca do not have a kingship in the moment. I have made the point that I refer you to all the relevant history that you can have. After the king Napai, as AmaBhaca, we don't actually have a kingdom that is recognized. I am speaking on the current. What will happen in the near future is something that will be determined by the family and all other AmaBhaca as a nation.
Are there any indications or is there an appetite for the AmaBhaca nation, as you're saying, to go back to Parliament and seek formal recognition? And again, to have chieftaincy or even the kinghood of some of the individuals reinstated?
On that matter, I think the family elders are the ones that are more relevant to answer whether there is any attempt of that nature. But what I can currently answer is that at the moment we don't have kingship.
So then, why is Thandisizwe referring to himself as the king of AmaBhaca?
He will be better positioned to... Pardon me? I didn't hear the last part.
I was asking, why is he referring to himself as the king of AmaBhaca?
He will be the one who's positioned to answer. He will be in the position to answer why is he calling himself a king. But what I can tell is that whatever authority that he has, we know that he's a chief. He is the chief of the Bacane. He is not a king. Whether he's referring to himself as a king is opportunistic and mischievous.
So
as the youth, as young people, sorry.
Sure, go ahead. Go ahead. You can go ahead.
I'm saying, as young people of the nation of AmaBhaca, in fact, we want to reiterate that we want to reiterate the call that is made by South Africans that the matter must receive agency. Because now this is a nation that is misrepresented, and while it is misrepresented, a personal company of the person must be distant from the nation itself. we are very in that aspect as the children. We cannot allow that embarrassment.
But so you might not recognize him as a king, but you do recognize him as a chief, as the chief of AmaBhaca.
Exactly. There is a difference between a king. A king is the reign supreme of a nation. You will know that in any monarch, a king is the reign supreme. A chief is not a king, and it therefore means the chiefs of AmaBhaca are subdivided to the villages that they are leading. But there is no king at the moment that you can say it is recognized.
So as it stands then, and if I understand you correctly, there are several chiefs that represents different constituencies of AmaBhaca.
Exactly. That is exactly what is the status of AmaBhaca when it comes to the issue of a monarch.
There also seems to be a great deal. Sure, go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to state another thing, is that we will just want to appeal to all the Bhaca nation to speak with one voice. Not on the matter that distances itself, but in the matter that you asked before, whether we have an interest of submission to Parliament or not. But AmaBhaca must be able to speak in one voice in making a point that the nation does not become what it has become as we speak in the moment.
There also
as the
seems
children
to be
of the nation will make that call to our elders as we're currently speaking with them.
There also seems to be a great deal of disappointment in what has happened and the kind of situation that Chief Thandisizwe finds himself in.
The disappointment that we have is that there is the disappointment that we have. Let me clarify where our position stands. And we don't want to dispute his personal dealings of his company. But the only disappointment and something we want to condemn is that it must not be put as if it represents the nation, and the benefits that will have emanated on the entity belongs to the royal family. And if he himself does not clarify that aspect, then the dealings actually put into disrepute the entire nation of AmaBhaca. And if he has any conscience left in himself, he is going to make clarity on the call of what he is doing as a personal enrichment. And by the way, the country here is battling with COVID-19. We cannot at any given point allow a person, neither if it's elevated to the nation, even a person who makes corrupt activities, government must deal with that aspect. And as young people of AmaBhaca, we do not support any person who conducts himself in a corrupt manner and in any corrupt activities. That is our position.
All right. Let me thank you for your time then tonight, Simphiwe Maula. He represents the grandchildren of the late King Madzikane.